We're talking today about maintaining a LEHR garden. A LEHR garden was very specifically designed to be a very low maintenance garden system. There's nothing you really need to do on a daily basis. There's not really even a whole lot that you need to do on a weekly basis or monthly basis. The main thing you need to do is just go out and look at it every now and then, make sure that everything is running appropriately. But there are a couple of things that can go wrong and a couple of maintenance pieces that need to be taken care of. So we're going to talk you through those here and how to deal with it, how to manage that. A LEHR garden works on a flood and drain system. We're going to pump a lot of water into one side and then the water's going to flow through. With the really high organic matter that's in the soil, it's going to be using up the oxygen that's in the soil structure to break down that organic matter. If it doesn't get that air refreshed, then the soil will go anaerobic and then the plants will start to suffer. So the first thing we're going to talk about here is the pumps. A LEHR garden has two pumps. The first is what I call the flow pump. It's going to take the water out of the pump and it's going to flow it to the far end and dump it into the compost. This is a fairly large pump. You see where it says submersible utility pump? That's pretty important. The other thing here is it says 1,100 gallons per hour. Sometimes I've done 1,600 gallons per hour. You want something that's going to be fairly powerful because this thing's only going to run for a minute or two in your garden. So we want to dump a lot of water really quickly. The second pump is an aeration pump. So we're just using the tiniest fountain pump that we can possibly get. It's going to run constantly. What I do, there's various ways to do this, but what I do is I pump it up to the drain area and then it just drains right back down. You're going to pump the water. This one will pump it up 3 feet. You literally just want to dribble. If you decide you want to put a bigger, more powerful pump, you're most likely going to get splashing, which will splash out of the garden and you'll lose a lot of water. It's going to use a lot more water. So something that's just going to dribble constantly is perfect for that. The other piece of equipment that sometimes needs maintenance is the timers. The first one is a timer that's going to turn the water at the spigot off and on. The lines that we typically run to a LEHR garden aren't designed to be under pressure all of the time. So I like to put it right on the spigot, and then the line to the garden will be running off and on. If this timer goes out, it's basically going to quit automatically watering your garden. So these are pretty easily replaceable. They're also usually pretty easy to program. Well, depending on the brand that you get, it'll have its instructions with it. The second timer that we use is an electrical timer. Now, the one that I typically use, has the flexibility that I need, is an indoor light timer, so it needs to be protected from the weather. But when these go out, this particular design is pretty ubiquitous. There's a lot of different brands that have almost exactly the same features. This one is pretty easy to program. It comes with instruction. Next piece that we're going to talk about is the pond liner itself. So the pond liner is the layer that we put on the inside of the tank. Every now and then it'll get punctured. If you're not careful when you're shoveling the soil out, you can puncture it. So if you do need to patch your pond liner, we're basically just going to patch it kind of like a bicycle tube. There's a product called E6000. It's a craft glue that works really well. And what you want to do is clean it up real good, get it nice and dry, hit it with a little bit of sandpaper and spread a little bit of E6000 on it. And then you just take another scrap of pond liner, do basically the same thing, put that on top, put a weight on it. Now, what I always like to do is I put a piece of paper towel over the weight because if you put a weight on it and then it glues the weight to your bed, it can be a pain to get off. So we want to prevent that. But then just let it dry for about 24 hours. Then you can put everything back and it's ready to go. The last piece that needs to be done is we want to protect the wood. For that, we use an oil-based stain called Penafin, which is short for penetrating oil finish. It's the best product I found on the market. Thompson's Water Seal or another oil-based stain can work. They probably won't last as long. A Penafin finish will last about 1 to 2 years, depending on your sun and water exposure. But basically, it's really simple. When it starts to look a little bit worn down, like this one's probably ready to stain here, you just hit it with the stain and give it a fresh coat. Those are the basics to maintaining your litter garden.